This is what some of the landscape looks like around here. Big oak trees. This is a little oak grove over here. A couple buckeye trees right here. A lot of moss. This is a mossier area. But yeah, this is a mixed oak woodland. And this has black oaks and white oaks and the madrones and these young Douglas fir conifers growing in. That's the successional tree. The Douglas fir, if it's not managed, like you can see here, it'll just overtake these oaks and you lose your oak forest. So the indigenous peoples in this area, the Wailaki, who actually lived on this land, they knew how to manage this forest like a food forest. And they did that through burning every few years. They would burn the grass and they would burn these young fir trees, and it would fertilize the oaks. It would burn up any of the extra leftover acorns that were left on the ground. You can see big acorn year this year. Tons of acorns on the ground. So the natives, every couple of years, they would burn certain parts of the forest, and that would keep the Douglas firs back. It would fertilize the big trees that were the healthy food source for them, the oaks. And flip this around. Got my chai here, out here talking to the mushrooms. Chai and I in it. So the other thing that burning the young trees did and managing the food forest was it created more openings in the forest. It created some disturbance where you get more openings in the forest, you could have more diversity growing there, you created more edge. And this is an area where more light could reach the surface of the floor of the forest. So you would get more diversity of plants, you would get more herbs, you would get more greens, you would get more berries and more food sources for more wildlife, which means easier hunting. So they would especially clear and burn around their villages, because this meant the deer would come in and they would graze more, and it just made easier hunting and lots more food sources for everybody. So, we've stopped, doing these controlled burns. These forests have largely been unmanaged for over, 100 years in some of these places, and they needed to be thinned out. They needed to be managed. We're coming up on an area here. You can see, here's your mixed oak woodland. There's the end of your oaks. But look at all these young Douglas firs that are coming in here, and they're just choking out that oak tree that's behind there. This is what happens, left to their own, they turn into this mature Douglas fir forest, which we're getting into over here. And these are going to dominate, and you can see there's nothing growing underneath them. There's no other food sources. The light can't reach the floor of the forest, so there's not a lot growing here. Animals aren't going to move through here because there's no food sources. So we've got to get back to managing our forests, especially for an oak savanna, oak woodland like this. We've got to thin our Doug firs. We've got to get into doing controlled burning when we can. So there's a lot we can learn from our indigenous teachers. They figured all this out a long time ago. This is all, forgotten indigenous knowledge. This is a cool little mushroom they call the witch's butter. Freaky little thing. Try to set my cup down without spilling it. But yeah, they're pretty cool. Just a little one starting on this log. Let's see what the other side looks like. Oh, we got a few over here. Some little ones there. They're just starting. Bunch of little witches butters. So yeah, we're seeing some cool mushrooms out here. Stay tuned.